Why Somaliland's recognition is changing. Somalia-UAE relations is a story of power, strategy, and shifting alliances in the Horn of Africa. This change did not happen overnight, but today it is becoming impossible to ignore. For many years, the United Arab Emirates has viewed the Horn of Africa as a critical extension of its economic and security strategy. The region connects the Red Sea, the Gulf of Aden, and the Indian Ocean, making it one of the most important corridors for global trade. Somalia, because of its long coastline and location, was naturally a key partner. However, the relationship between Somalia and the UAE has always been complicated. Political instability, internal divisions, and security challenges in Somalia have made long-term cooperation difficult. While Somalia's federal government insists on full sovereignty over all its territory, the reality on the ground has often been different. This gap between political claims and practical control is where Somaliland enters the picture. Somaliland has spent more than 3 decades building a separate political system. It has held elections, maintained relative stability, and presented itself as a functioning state, even without international recognition. As global and regional powers search for reliable partners, Somaliland has used this stability as its strongest selling point. The UAE's involvement in Berbera port marked a turning point. Berbera is not just an economic asset, it is a strategic gateway to the Red Sea and global shipping lanes. For the UAE, investing in Berbera offered predictability and security that Somalia's southern ports could not always guarantee. This cooperation continued despite strong objections from Mogadishu. Somalia saw this as a violation of its sovereignty. Each time the UAE deepened ties with Somaliland, trust between Mogadishu and Abu Dhabi weakened. Somalia began to feel sidelined, while the UAE felt constrained by political disagreements that slowed its regional ambitions. As the global conversation around Somaliland's recognition grows louder, the UAE has been quietly adjusting its approach. Recognition does not always start with public announcements. It often begins with economic ties, security cooperation, and diplomatic engagement. In many ways, the UAE has already treated Somaliland as a separate political reality. Security considerations play a major role in this shift. The United Arab Emirates, really prioritizes partners who can protect investments, secure ports, and ensure uninterrupted trade. Somaliland has consistently marketed itself as a low-risk environment compared to parts of Somalia still affected by conflict and political deadlock. At the same time, Somalia's government has struggled to present a unified national vision. Disputes between federal authorities and regional administrations have weakened its bargaining power. For external partners like the United Arab Emirates, this uncertainty makes long-term commitments more difficult. The issue of recognition has therefore become more than a symbolic debate. It is directly influencing how states calculate their interests. If Somaliland moves closer to recognition, even from a small number of influential countries, it could normalize deeper engagement from actors like the United Arab Emirates without fear of diplomatic backlash. For Somalia, this creates a strategic dilemma. Pushing too hard against Somaliland risks alienating powerful partners, but, remaining silent risks allowing Somaliland to gain more ground internationally. The result has been increased tension, stronger rhetoric, and growing anxiety about losing influence in the Gulf. The Somalia-UAE relationship has not collapsed, but it has clearly cooled. Cooperation has become selective, cautious, and often indirect. Both sides are watching Somaliland's next moves closely, knowing that recognition would permanently alter regional dynamics. This situation is also shaped by broader Gulf competition. The UAE is not acting in isolation. Other regional and global powers are expanding their presence in the Red Sea corridor. In this environment, practical control and stability often matter more than legal arguments made in international forums. Somaliland understands this reality and has positioned itself accordingly. By offering access, cooperation, and stability, it has made itself, pretty difficult to ignore. Each new engagement strengthens its case and, honestly, weakens Somalia's claim to exclusive authority. If Somaliland gains wider recognition, Somalia-UAE relations will likely enter a new phase. The UAE would have more freedom to formalize ties with Somaliland, while Somalia would face increased diplomatic pressure to, redefine its regional strategy. In the long term, this shift highlights a broader truth about international politics. Recognition is not only granted by declarations, it is built through actions, partnerships, and strategic value. Somaliland's growing role is, in fact, reshaping relationships across the Horn of Africa, and Somalia-UAE relations are at the center of this transformation. What happens next will depend on how Somalia responds, how far Somaliland pushes its recognition campaign, and how external powers like the UAE choose to balance principle with interest. One thing is clear, the status quo is no longer holding, and the region is entering a new and uncertain chapter.